Well, thank you very much, Niraj, and thank you everyone for joining us on a little bit of short notice. We just got the marketing message out last night. I have already offered to Niraj and team that we can give this presentation another time as well, because I'm very pleased to talk to everyone about Technology Alberta's First Jobs Program, which brings companies to you and these amazing companies with these outstanding job opportunities to really help Alberta talent come into the tech sector and help us build the tech sector together. So with that, I will go into my presentation. And I'll say that I'm very pleased to see that there's a founding member of this program. This program was developed 3 years or so now, just as COVID was setting in, and Osmar Zain, your outstanding professor, was part of the steering committee, as well as we have some early adopter companies on this call with Randy Duguay of HealthGauge, who will tell us a little bit about his experience. And we have outstanding students like Paria, who is currently part of the First Jobs Program, working with great companies like Intellimedia on educational software. So with that, I hope that this presentation will go without a glitch as far as my controls here. So the focus is bringing Alberta's tech companies to you. As a backgrounder, Technology Alberta is a grassroots volunteer-driven organization. We focus on helping growth-oriented entrepreneurial tech companies thrive in Alberta. They actually are developing amazing products using outstanding technologies, and just given a little bit more visibility and opportunity, they will grow even faster and better here in Alberta. So I'll tell you a little bit about Technology Alberta's board. It is half in Edmonton, half in Calgary, made of leaders in the tech system space. They're largely entrepreneurs or leader of entrepreneur networks, as well as we have many volunteers at every level, whether they're mentors or students that help us with our website and LinkedIn and other communications. So our mandate is to help grow Alberta's tech sector through raising the visibility of all the emerging tech companies, connecting the companies to talent at the universities as well as outside the universities, also connecting the company to great programs like one I'll talk about later today, which is the Tech Immigration Pathway, as well as connecting companies to customers and capital. And very much so, we are a community builder. We're an industry association that creates collaborations across industry, government, and academia, recognizing that we need everyone's help in growing this tech sector. And it is open and inclusive to all. So my background, I'm president of Technology Alberta. I actually am an industrial automation engineer and have worked for many entrepreneurial companies across Canada. I've spent a lot of time in Toronto, but also in Calgary and in Edmonton. My last role was Vice President of Willowed One Systems that has industrial automation systems that are used to manage LRT systems as well as pipelines. They also are very active with the University of Alberta and interested in machine learning engineers and do work globally. Also, some past roles are, I've been on U of A Alumni Council. I actually am on the Computer Science Industry Advisory Board. I'm a volunteer with the Rainforest. I'm part of the Alberta Regional Innovation Network and on the steering committee, as well as part of the Innovation Edmonton Growth Council, founding chair of Women in APEGA, and I'm a new board member for the Canadian Federation of Innovation, which is in charge of allocating over $500 million nationally to research institutions across the country. I have a lot of people helping Technology Alberta execute our initiatives, and one of the most committed members is Deborah Gregg, who is principal of our professional development programs. She is actually a graduate of the computer science department with her bachelor's degree, as well as an MBA. She's a serial entrepreneur and is a member of multiple committees and is a mentor on the Green STEM program. Our program manager for the First Jobs and Next Jobs program is Julia McKay, as some of you may have met already. So moving forward about the programs, this one is about Technology Alberta programs. So at a high level, and I'll also say, we have not always delivered jobs programs. Technology Alberta has been around for over 20 years, focused on the ITC space, and then growing more on technology and advanced technology space. But in the company perspective, we want these companies to grow using great research that have come out of the universities or that they have created on their own or in collaboration. So we do recognize that a lot of these companies are smaller. And so thus, considering we are an industry association with a lot of networks, we share information on these companies across our networks so more people know about them. As an example, there's an initiative that started out as the AB Tech 100, Alberta Tech companies that are providing 100 job opportunities over this year. And it quickly grew to become the AB Tech 1,000 opportunities in Alberta, 2,000, 3,000, and 4,000. So every year, 4,000 new jobs in the tech sector are being created. And every week, Technology Alberta, we now have a weekly newsletter. It used to be monthly, but we had so many companies to feature. Now it's weekly. We feature 10 companies that you haven't seen before in our newsletter, but they're on our website that are actively hiring in the tech space. So free newsletter, please sign up, go to technologyalberta.com. It's free for all. So other things that we do, we are involved in awards events. There's a Start Alberta Award, of which we sponsor a single category, cross-community collaboration. That award has actually gone to a collaboration within the Advanced Technology Center at the Edmonton Research Park, led by AI entrepreneurs, Clinesis and StreamML, to create Isaac at the University of Alberta, which helps support entrepreneurs using supercomputing space, and they're largely AI ML entrepreneurs. The following year, the next award winner was AltaML for their work in bringing AI through across Alberta to major companies like Suncor, like TransAlta, and more. And then going on to something new for 2022 is Technology Alberta will be presenting the Aztec Awards. Some of you have heard of the Aztec Awards before. It's been in Alberta a staple institution for over 30 years, recognizing excellence in technology in the areas of research, as well as in execution in companies and more. So I hope you can all join us. I should have the date here. We're putting a save the date out soon. That Aztec Awards will take place November 4th, as it traditionally does. So moving forward, Technology Alberta has our own programs, but we clearly collaborate with others. And we're a community building member of the Alberta Regional Innovation Networks, led by Alberta Innovates. Of the Rainforest, we are very pleased to be part of Amy's U of A AI seminar, traditionally showcasing companies. And I've already mentioned a couple of the other items. So moving right along. So this is the origin story of the jobs programs. So about, in the year 2020, it seems so long ago, because of course COVID was an eternity. At that time, working on behalf of Western Economic Development and JEI, Jobs, Economy and Innovation, we were interviewing 100 experienced Alberta tech entrepreneurs and leaders and champions to determine what the key needs are for the tech sector in order to accelerate the growth here in Alberta. And what came back from these very experienced people, and of course, some of the people that we interviewed were Rich Sutton, as well as Osmar, and others within the AI community here. Top needs of the companies were talent, as well as competitive policies and support from government, but as well customers and capital. So with that, we also had our volunteers as well as our connections with the universities. And we already knew that students, and largely through this AI seminar and us working with the U of A and other universities over the last 20 years, we knew that they needed a higher volume of entry-level jobs. So many of the students would say, sure, there's a lot of jobs out there, but they always ask for 2 to 4 years experience. Where do I go right out of university? And also, where are all the tech companies? You know, we hear that there's a lot, but it's hard for us to find them. You know, it's so easy for people to find the big Facebooks and Googles, but how do you find the very cool, innovative companies like one that's here today, Healthgate, or some of those ones I've already mentioned, Kinesis and Telemedia? So these companies are doing great things, but they don't have a marketing budget to just market across the province or the country. And in fact, one of the largest tech companies that currently has about 300 employees, saying that although they're well known in one city, that happened to be in Calgary, they aren't well known nationally. And so they also have problems finding talent. So this visibility issue is a problem for companies that don't market to the general public. And so Technology Alberta, through our newsletters, LinkedIn, other communications, we help raise that visibility, but also through some programs that I'll tell you more about, we actually can help make that connection more meaningful so that people will understand who these companies are and want to either work for them or buy from them or support them in other ways. So back to talent, they need the entry-level jobs, and they need the visibility to where to find these companies and access to whether it's through network introductions or other ways to really be connected with these cool tech companies. So the result was certainly came out of this study, but it was actually accelerated due to COVID, where we had heard that so many co-op jobs, so many students were graduating without jobs. And although Technology Alberta realized that that there was a lot of talent going without jobs, what you would hear from the companies say they need talent and they don't exist. So there was this excess of talent who didn't have jobs and excess of company who needed talent, but no connection in between. The talent couldn't find the companies due to size and visibility, and the companies couldn't find the talent because they didn't necessarily have a big HR department or the time to look for that. So what was needed was a connection to bring it together. And so Technology Alberta, even though we didn't traditionally offer jobs programs, we recognized that due to COVID and all the pain that was causing, that we would lose this outstanding talent from the universities that would have to go elsewhere to find jobs if we didn't do something right away. So we did propose to government a jobs program, of which they really turned around quite quickly. They found funding quite quickly for us to give to the companies to hire the students, and for there to be a little bit of program funding to put a platform together so that the students could see all the talent. And frankly, Osmar, hats off to you, because he actually personally went, I should let you talk to this, Osmar, if you're still on the call, but you personally knocked on many doors to make this happen. There'll be a spot here, Osmar, that I'll just turn it over to you if you're still on the call. So I know he's overseas right now. All right, so the focus is Technology Alberta and some other associations are working on pilot programs with government to connect, to provide visibility to these cool opportunities so that Alberta talent can actually have these job opportunities and access. And you can grow your networks. And in fact, the Technology Alberta program, due to the input from the students we were working with and some of the professors, is that we offer this where the students can do this while they're working on their degrees at any levels. We're offering it as a 10 hours a week remote placement so that you can actually get some work integrated learning while you're doing your, if you will, your main job, which is your studies. But at 10 hours a week, it was seen that, you know, students already do some freelancing. So that model isn't too onerous, and working with the employers who know that you're in school, they're very flexible at times where if you need to pull back a bit. So it creates networks now, valuable experience now, and it gives people hope, because definitely at that time, the stories that we were getting from the students were they had no hope. In fact, they didn't really believe that our program was real, because they went from hearing that they were finding it hard to find jobs, period, to here there are 50 companies, tech companies in Alberta that are creating jobs now, applying now. They couldn't believe it, and especially since it was a Christmas present. This was offered, Technology Alberta received the funding in December. And so we had to spend it all by fiscal year end, which was March 31st. So that meant that we needed to get the marketing out there, identify the companies, identify the students or youth. It was a program where anyone 29 and under who's an Alberta resident can take part of the program. We decided, Technology Alberta decided, that we wanted them to be connected to an Alberta post-secondary. And so with that, we had great networks and exciting support. And this was the net result. In 2 weeks, we were able to pull together these outstanding companies who put up their hand to say, we will give young people a chance to work in our cool tech companies. Even though this amount of money we gave them, it was so little. We gave the companies $2,000 to find interesting projects and pay the students this $2,000 to work with them. So with that, here's a sample of some of the companies. I know it's really hard to read. I'll be, you know, in this outstanding graphic that was actually made by a volunteer of ours who was a University of Alberta student. It looks like an iPhone. It shows the dots below that this is the first 50. This is the optimistic look. This is the first 50 companies that are part of the FIRST Jobs program. Since then, we have 5 more pages of companies that are offering opportunities to Alberta students. So with that, this is a little bit of breakdown of the companies. So actually, for the very first round, the very first time we started, is almost 70 companies applied in that 2 weeks. We only had enough funding for 50, which actually created the incentive for government to provide more funding so that we can create more jobs. So while 50 companies were selected, 500 youth applied from across the province. It was staggering. 500 applied in 2 weeks over Christmas. We were worried that the students wouldn't even be accessible. In fact, I think it was December 19th or so where we sent out the marketing, and with all our networks said, please pass the word on to any network that you know that students would have access to, so that they understand that this program is open. So with that, Osmo, are you on the call? Can you talk a little bit about what you did to get the word out?
Am I there?
You are, I can hear you. Yeah.
Well, I basically contacted the deans of different faculties on campus and different student associations to let them know that this program existed. It was brand new. We didn't have a lot of time, and asked them to basically apply. And that's what happened.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were floored. We were overwhelmed in so many ways, where we were excited, but we were concerned, not about how we can execute it. We knew we could make that happen. But as happy as we were to find 50, and as you can see from the slide, jobs for 55 people, because some of the companies like HealthGauge, like Randy here, had decided not only to take one student through the funding we provided, but to find some of their own funding to take on more.
If you
And
may,
so,
if
go
you may,
ahead.
Gail, one important thing is that we were not only targeting students in IT, but any student who would be interested in joining one of these positions that were advertised in the website. So even people in, I don't know, medicine, communication, arts, you name it.
You're absolutely right. And business, right? I know you went to the Dean of Business as well.
Yes.
And frankly, that's one of the largest growing areas of the success of this program, is that we are getting more and more business graduates interested in working in Alberta's tech sector through this program. And again, it's largely due to our steering committee champions like Osmar who spread the word. Also on Technology Alberta's board, we have a board member who's very closely tied with U of C's not only computer science department, but alumni council. So when he spread the word, the U of C pipeline of students came to the door and so on. So as we've done multiple iterations of this program, sometimes our NATE champions are turning the faucet on full speed, as well as Bow Valley College. And this talent pool of 500 is Campus Alberta. It's from across the province. I know one company hired three young professionals. That's what we call people in our programs. One from U of A, one from U of C, one from U of Lethbridge. So it is a wonderful Alberta-wide collaboration opportunity. And with that, you can see all the different sectors that these companies work in. Some were in agriculture, some data analytics management, some industrial automation, commercial and legal, education, medical healthcare, social media, clean tech, and more. So Randy, can you talk a little bit about your experience? Because I
Yeah, for
love your
sure.
story.
I'll be really brief, and I've moved my audio over to a different link here. And yeah, so when you were reaching out, Gail, we knew it was the first program, and I was a laggard, as you know, and then we had over 100 people showed interest in our program, and as we were late, some of the people we even talked to had said, "Oh, I already took this other role." And so what I did is I took the 100 people with interest, and I actually looked at everyone, and I boiled that down to 30. And then I sat down with Bruce, and there were so many amazing people in there, just incredible capabilities. And so Bruce and I sat down and boiled that list down to 10, and then we interviewed 6, and we took 3. When we started, I was thinking, oh, we'll get whoever, and but it was just such an incredible list, and so it was really hard not to take more than one. And we were happy with all of them. 2 of them were kind of AI characters. Another was an amazing IT security person with some real diversity. And we hired him. He was actually working at Superstore at the time, but we just thought he was something really interesting. So, anyways, the thing to me was just great. I think a great entry level a place to find amazing people. And I think too that startups are frankly where it's at today as a young professional. When I was just starting out my career, of course, you'd have big corps and like a small smattering of small companies, but the world's changed, and I think that these young people are really looking to work with some of the amazing talent, and Bruce is on the call, and so Bruce and I are pretty seasoned characters, and frankly, we need to find those people that can help us, really progress our technology. So, really lots of kudos to to what you're doing here, and of course we'll continue to support it as much as we can. So, some really great notes there.
Well, and Randy, thank you. I mean, you're one of the companies that have hired some of your students full time now.
Mm.
Oh, sorry, you're on mute now.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so that is exactly true. We kept one of these professionals, went on to continue the program. I think another one of the professionals here is looking to do a PhD, but I'm sure Bruce is working hard to retain as much of his capacity as we can get. And yeah, so for where we're at, hey, if we're picking up great people and we can hang on to them, we're going to do that. But if we pick up great people and then 6 months or 12 months from now, they have a great experience and they can reference us and we can tap into more, that's what we're going to do, because it makes a big difference to have people nearby.
Outstanding. And Randy was a senior leader at TELUS before you started your own entrepreneurial pursuits. So there's great mentoring that's available through these companies and networks, right? All right, so I will continue on, but I really love the fact that, talk about champions in the community. So Randy and Bruce are two community builders within the tech sector. And that is part of the benefit of taking part in a program from an industry association, because we have just the pillars of the community, people with a lot of networks, a lot of knowledge that are here, not just to build a company, but they're giving back in so many ways that a career experience with any of these companies can really have, extends your networks, it extends your knowledge, it builds your heart. So with that, I'll go next to just a profile of the educational institutions for the very first round. So we had 10 post-secondary institutions involved for that 2-week period. Since then, obviously, we've had more and more. And then gender distribution, we were really surprised because we love these results, but Technology Alberta didn't do anything specifically to generate these results. So of the 500 applicants, 37% of them identified as she or they. Of the ones chosen for the placements, 48%. So therefore, the tech companies are choosing to have a diverse workforce. So anyone who says that tech is not inclusive doesn't understand that this kind of information, right? That yes, and in fact, the bureaucracy for an entrepreneurial tech company is there's no bureaucracy, right? You're speaking to and forming the corporate culture with the leaders, right? You have access to make impact and to change with knowledge. And so the knowledge that, of course, diversity is so important for companies is one that the companies individually are embracing. We had no influence over who they chose. We just had this talent pool of 500 people, of which they chose these 55 and had such balanced representation. It was lovely to see. The types of jobs are very cool. So, you already heard Randy said that, before this gentleman was working at Superstore, right? So what kind of part-time jobs can you get when you're at university? Some people are working at Tim Hortons. These jobs that we're providing at 10 hours a week, you can actually be a associate product manager. You can actually have a machine learning role at 10 hours a week. That's doesn't happen every day. But it's the kind of community we have. And it's lovely to see. So the results of the program. Again, this is the very first time we had done the program after 10 weeks of working 10 hours a week. A third of the people were immediately given another job opportunity by these companies or another company in that network. Actually, I will say some of Randy's results. He hired someone a year later, because of course some of these people are still in their studies, but they actually came back to him a year later, and then he gave them a permanent job. So this doesn't even have those long-term results. The short-term results were so real. For this $2,000 investment by government to help small companies give someone their first job, it created a full-time job or part-time job for 35% of the people in the program. So I'll go back to the whole how our hearts were filled but broken when we saw that there were yes, we can help 50 or 55 people get jobs, but there's still 450 people that were looking. So we sent that news through our government contacts within Jobs, Economic Development, and Innovation, who sent it to their colleagues in Labor and Immigration and in Advanced Education. And government started to call us back to say, we want to help. We hear there are 400 people, youth looking for jobs, and that you have tech companies who are willing to hire them. So we have funding now for 3 years to continue the FIRST Jobs program. And so that means annually through Advanced Education, we will be providing 100 work placements through 100 tech companies. And then in addition to that, Labor and Immigration has given us some additional funding to help 100 people each year over 2 years on their programs. So we have another 500 work placements that have been funded for. And also say part of the programs is it's beyond work placements, where you have company showcases where you get to hear from individuals like Randy and Bruce about what they're doing, how cool their company is, what their technology is all about. Where each week we showcase 5 companies so that all the young professionals, all 50 in the program, get to hear about all 50 companies, because your work placement may be with one, but obviously there's an interest in hearing about all the others because there may be even a better fit. Or you can tell your friends even better that, hey, did you hear about that cool company that has anti-bullying software called Arito Labs that is actively hiring? And so we need everyone to spread the word on these cool tech companies. And I will say that poster there is meant to go in the offices and the hallways of University of Alberta, University of Calgary, and so on. Due to COVID, there wasn't a lot of traffic to do so. But we're getting back on that. So this is coming to a poster or monitor near you so that everyone understands who the companies are. And there's a QR code associated with that. So in addition to the company showcases, we also have professional development sessions so that a lot of people who haven't worked for small companies or any companies before are given a little bit of the HR 101s, right? How to work in a professional environment, how to work effectively remotely, how to work with a team, all those one-on-ones that they may not know, and that are given by individuals that have some really great workplace cultures. There are companies here who have won, outstanding Canadian workplace awards, and so they're talking about effective communications, great ways to work together, and ways to develop your professional networks and more. And then, of course, we give business advisory conversations to companies. Many of them, by the way, don't have access to the amazing people like Osmar and Rich Sutton. There are times that we bring them into some of these discussions. So there's a people's choice component to who do you want to hear from within the Alberta tech community, because really it's a community of very giving people that are boosters. They are putting their time and passion into growing our tech community. All right, so let's talk more about the jobs programs today. So they are open right now, as well as the one that's more focused on students in the school year. That one is about to formally reopen in mid-July. So do go to our website, do register. It doesn't take a lot of time. And I will say, if anyone's graduating, you can still apply to that program. If you're a new graduate within 6 months, you can still apply for the FIRST Jobs program, which is a 200-hour work term, which can be 10 hours a week, or it's flexible depending on what you want to do and what's and the needs of the company. Where sometimes over the summer, you can work 20, 30 hours a week, but it all depends what your program is, and the expectations given to the employers is it is 10 hours a week remote, or whatever works, whatever mutually is agreeable between the two of you. I'd like to put some focus on the Next Level Careers program, which is continual intake. So it's open, we're taking applications now, and it goes all the way through to February next year. And that's a smaller duration. It's a 10-week duration instead of a 20-week duration, or it's a 100-hour duration instead of 200. And many people, and you don't have to be a university student, you just have to be an Alberta resident. So if you know of anyone who graduated a couple of years ago and doesn't have their dream job yet, this is the opportunity for them. It can be of any age. And companies are using this as like a working interview, right? They don't, obviously, typical interview process, you only get to meet each other for an hour and you're trying to make a decision about whether it's a fit for both of you. So through this program, people can take more of a chance instead of deliberating, oh, you know, if I hire someone full time, it's such a long-term commitment. We have to be really, really sure. Many people have gone through, you know, 5 interviews before they're hired with a company. So this takes some of that pressure off, and it allows employers to see what you're able to do in a short period of time, and whether your work ethic and whether your personality fits within their corporate culture. So it's a really nice, easy way for people to get started, in a way to get to know each other, and it jumpstarts jobs. And it helps grow companies faster. What I highlighted in yellow there is there's a very new government program out there, made explicitly for the tech sector, for the government of Alberta, and it's called the Accelerated Immigration Pathway for Tech Talent. So if there are any international students, and often they can only work 10 hours, 20 hours a week. So again, our model is wonderful for international students. But if they choose to stay in Alberta, the Immigration Pathway Program actually has reported results that within 2 to 4 weeks, the government of Alberta part is complete. Certainly there's still the federal government, but it is a strong focus, and it's getting better and better results. So how to apply for the programs? It's really quick. It only takes 10 minutes for the students. Just go to the Technology Alberta website. The application form, it's just looking to make sure that you are legally able to work, and that you are an Alberta resident, and that you are connected with an Alberta university. Because like Osmar said, you know, we are very interested in AI ML talent, in any computing science talent, but really in any business talent. Education students have been able to provide a lot of value. Arts students have been able to provide a lot of value, and more. So, and then once you apply this 10 minutes application, within a couple of days, you'll be given a login for the jobs portal. And that's where you'll see all these cool opportunities from these companies. And then you apply using your LinkedIn profile. You can also put a little bit more information in. I will say what made things so successful the first time with Randy's example, that he had 100 individuals applying for his jobs, for HealthGauge's jobs. We made it really easy. Just click, you know, apply, and so that's great. What people often do when they apply for jobs is it can take forever to write up an ideal resume, and time's moving on, and these companies need to hire. So we're trying to take the time component out of it. Keep your LinkedIn profile up to date. That's largely what the employers are using to determine whether you have the education or the experience they need to fit their company and their opportunity. So if your LinkedIn profile is up to date, you're setting yourself up well.
Yeah, I just want to talk to that really briefly, Gail, because this is one of the things you're looking at 100 people, right? And people need to know this. I checked every one of those LinkedIns, and anybody that wasn't appealing, like just and some people had nothing, like virtually nothing. And boy, that's an easy review, right? So people have to really understand, like, it doesn't have to be like perfect, but people should be thinking, okay, how do I stand out, and how do I appeal, and to whatever company. So I mean, that's a huge point. So do encourage on that.
Well, and an example of a master's student from the Department of Computer Science at U of A, she was saying that she only had 100 LinkedIn contacts when she applied to the program and when she was successful at getting a job. Through the period, the 10 weeks her number of LinkedIn contacts went from 100 to 350. And she actually received 3 full-time job offers within 10 weeks, right? Through the visibility that she was able to get through this program. So LinkedIn is an important part of your professional networking. It's pretty impressive, the contacts you can make. So I did put in the promotional material for this seminars, the fact that, of course, the Technology Alberta program has many Alberta AI ML companies. And so I didn't know Randy would be able to make this session. And thank you so much, Bruce, for also making this session. So I have HealthGauge in there, as well as in the health sector. That's a very strong sector that's using AI and ML. And some of the companies that have participated in our jobs programs include Drug Bank, 48 Hour Discovery, Pulse Medica, Clinesis, BioStream, as well as Painworth is another company, reminds me very much like Randy, where when he got his list of 50 or more computing science students with AI ML background who are interested in working for his company, he only had funding for one. He looked at the top 5. He actually found jobs for another 2, and another 2 volunteered in some capacity. And as he got more funding and his company became more mature, he ended up hiring them. So startup is where it's at. That's very true, Randy. And some of these companies are startups, some of them are scale-ups, some of them are more mature like LTML, but they're still growing. This is a growth sector. And one of my previous slides was, it doesn't take long for a junior person to become senior in the company when you're with a growth company, where in a year, you can, if you're employee number, and this has happened to me in Matricon, I was employee 100. Within 2 years of my being hired, we had 300 people. So I was one of the original 100, right? I got the best roles, the best opportunities. I understood the culture, and the company depended on me to mentor others. So to be with a startup company is an amazing experience. And then as being new in your career as a student or new graduate, this is a time where you can afford to take a risk. You don't have to have your forever job, because startup companies, even though I have amazing success with startup. I was with employee number 5 that grew to 25 of a company that became a world leader in an AI ML space. And I worked with that company for 10 years. And meanwhile, as a chemical engineer, I had friends who went to ExxonMobil and a lot of the big oil companies. I had been laid off twice in that period of 10 years. So although it can be perceived that larger companies are more stable, recognize that when you're publicly traded, there's a lot of scrutiny that when your quarter's down, often by laying off, that brings your stock price back up. And it's an unfortunate reality that the markets can determine the success of the company more than the performance of the company itself. So being with a startup, you can learn a lot and scale up. You can learn a lot and you can make a huge impact. So again, this is a list of some Alberta AI/ML companies. Some of them have already been featured on the AI seminar here. And if you see any companies that you'd like to work for that you don't see in the list, let me know, because everyone's so approachable here that by my mentioning that a student is interested in working for your company, many of them say, okay, sign me up. I'm very interested. Here are some opportunities that are posting. I just had their logos handy, and so I like the eye candy. I feel bad for you guys. I have to read all my text. And here's some a little bit more detail on what you can expect being part of this program and working for a growing entrepreneurial company in Alberta. What you will find is there are so many companies here. In fact, there are over 3,000 tech companies here in Alberta. And so we are bringing these companies to you 50 at a time, or if you're in our newsletter, 400 over the year. So And then again, you can work for companies that make a difference. These companies are making a difference through their innovative products, through their contribution to the community. Randy and Bruce are examples where they're mentors in other initiatives, as well as they're growing Alberta's tech sector, right? To be, in established markets, you're one of many, and people don't really know who you are, or you're more of a number than here today, where you are a pillar and you are making a difference. And the companies, you make a difference because in a company of 5 or 50 or 100, your individual impact is huge. I have personal experience. My husband worked at Apple. A lot of benefits for working for a large company, but he will tell you himself in another session how really his heart is working with startup companies and making a difference in the impact there. It's huge. It's an experience that comes highly recommended. So through this presentation, I'd like to welcome you all to Alberta's tech community. To sign on to our newsletter, you are invited to become part of the future. And we also can always use volunteers at any level. Our volunteers get hired, our volunteers get great experience, and our volunteers make friends. So help grow Alberta's advanced technology sector, participate in our programs, spread the word on these programs. Link in with me, and thank you. You can always send a note to myself at president@technologyalberta.ca. Thank you, Neeraj.
Thank you, Gail, for a wonderful presentation. It was really amazing to know more about this program because I myself was looking at the website, reading, but having the person actually talk about it who is actually involved in the things is really cool. It's really great. It was very informative. Thank you so much.
Well, my pleasure. I know there was a couple of questions, so we can go to that. Or I also really appreciate Osmar and Randy and Bruce being on the call. So if they have any last words to say, I'd be happy to share the floor.
Yes, so let me first go to the chat box. I think AJ Terras sent one question. Can I actually go on the website and filter by the sector that's shown here, which is pointing towards newsletters, I think.
Yeah, that was actually, I sent that during the slide where you showed the pie chart, but I ended up actually going on the website, and yes, that's the answer.
Well, and that's very good. And I will say, on the website, we show many Alberta companies. So not all of them are part of the program. However, all of them can be part of the program. And the reach out is just so easy for us to do. It is so easy. So in that respect, we should say, go to the entire company directory and let us know where you want to work. You pick your job instead of the other way around.
This is a great way to think of it. And it's a great initiative and project. Just wanted to say thanks for making it happen and everyone that's involved.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Duras. And I would love to, we'll send it. I would love for you to put up the poster. Thank you. Okay, well, we're counting you in. I'm taking a picture. I guess I have this on the film. Wonderful.
Hey, Gail, this is Bruce here.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, what's happened to my screen? Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for all the work that you do in the tech community. We love you, and we think you're great, and this program is particularly good. I have a question about getting the online thing. Is there a place where like we can register, like if we have some special needs? Is there like a place we go and say, hey, I'm looking like deep learning neural net, something or reinforcement learning, like if I've got something, is there a place where I can go to do that?
Well said. So I will say through sending a note to info@technologyalberta, you can make any request and we will accommodate that. That does, so our jobs portal, although initially was just to be used for these internships, it has been expanded to have full-time positions as well. And then as well through our newsletters that are now weekly, we are featuring community building companies. And also on the website, there's a fast track so that the more ongoing needs are there. So the answer is, Bruce, yes, we have something, but we want to make it better too. But please, but we don't want you to wait until we make it better. So do send us any of your needs, and we will do a feature on Health Gauge within the next month. So I'll ask you for some content there.
Yeah, awesome. And then and then the same thing I would say on the student side, like if we're looking through those students, if they're like giving us some keywords, particularly certifications, if they have any specific certifications is really helpful, or if they've taken a Coursera course, because sometimes these skills are really specific, right? Like if they have a machine learning, or if they took a security course or something, depending on what we look like it really helps us in terms of filtering out those candidates. But anyways, the mechanism last time was like, it was so good. I mean, we got so many students to look at, and yeah, I think that for any business, wow, you definitely should be on it. So
outstanding. Well, thank you so much. And then I see Peter has a startup, and yes, the application form for companies is just as fast as it is for students. It'll just take you 10 minutes to put your information on, and then within 2 days you'll get access to the portal, and we even have someone help you post your positions, and what else can I say about that? And then we do have volunteer mentors that actually, if you need any help writing your job descriptions, although as much as we would prefer people to write a 1-paragraph job description to help the students understand what they'd be getting into, we understand that sometimes you don't have the time for that. And so we're okay with as little as saying machine learning specialist or junior software developer. And then you can, by you providing what your company does, like Health Gauge has wearable health devices that use AI ML, then the software developer can figure out what they would be doing. So because we want all the job seekers to learn more about the companies, I'm okay about there being it being more company centric. This is what we do, and we're looking for these roles. But if you happen to have a paragraph or more job description, we love posting those. So there you go. Anything else, Neeraj?
No, I think we are good. There is one message. Yeah. So Technology
Excellent.
Alberta has, this is from you.
Yes, it's really easy for the companies to apply. And if you ever have any problems, just info@Technology Alberta, and we have someone that can help. Thank you very much, Dara. So
Thank you,
Osmar,
Gail.
oh, sorry, I know we only have a minute. If Osmar's still on, again, I know he's overseas. I thought I would give him an opportunity for some last words.
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, I had something to eat while you were talking. No, well, the last thing I can say is thank you, you and Deborah. You did an amazing job. And this is, well, when it started, it was a huge job. Now it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we are happy with it getting bigger, actually. That's the funny thing. So thank you very much for all this.
Well, it's wonderful to have really you as founding partner in this. And yes, it's getting bigger, and more entities are doing this. And this is a pilot program. We're sharing our learnings with other organizations so that really, the vision for within advanced education is that any student in Alberta who wants a work integrated learning experience will have access to that. That's how much this is to grow. But where it started was in AI ML. So how's that for a wrap? Thank you, everyone. And please feel free to go to Technology Alberta's website or link in with me. And thank you all for being part of our growing tech sector. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gail, for the presentation. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. We'll see you next week. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Thank you.